Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 7th of January. It's 8:30 in the morning, and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing. I'm your host today, Rich Benfield, standing in for Stephen Ridgway, who is on annual leave. So today in the news, or more to the point, what happened overnight in the cybersecurity world. SecurityWeek reports wallet drainer malware used to steal $500 million in cryptocurrency in 2024. The Hacker News reports Moxa alerts users to high-severity vulnerabilities in cellular and secure routers. Darkreading.com has got an article about China's Salt Typhoon adds charter Windstream to telecom victim list. Info Security Magazine for the last two have a new PhishWP plugin, enables sophisticated payment page scams. And finally, a supply chain attack targets key Ethereum development tools. So let's jump back over to SecurityWeek's article. Links will be provided as usual in all the socials, so feel free to read these in further detail. So the headline is wallet drainer malware used to steal $500 million in cryptocurrency in 2024. So, okay, nearly $500 million in cryptocurrency was stolen from more than 332,000 victims in 2024 by means of wallet drainer malware, anti-scam firm Scam Sniffer says. Wallet drainers trick victims into signing malicious transactions, which results in their assets being stolen. Last year, wallet drainer malware caused losses of approximately $494 million, marking a 67% year-over-year increase, and the largest single theft was $55.48 million. This is all in dollars. Scam Sniffer identified over 332,000 drained addresses, up 3.7% from the previous year, and says that only 30 incidents resulted in losses of more than $1 million each, for a total of $171 million. The largest number of wallet drainer malware attacks was observed during the first quarter of the year, when they made 175,000 victims and caused losses of $187.2 million. Over 90,000 victims were identified in the second and third quarter of the year, when the combined losses reached $257 million, and an additional 30,000 victims were observed in the fourth quarter of the year, when the losses totaled $51 million. Although the attacks were more frequent at the beginning of 2024, the two largest attacks last year, of $55.48 million and $32.51 million respectively, were observed in August and September. So, those are big numbers. Clearly, this is quite serious stuff. I, for one, don't do anything in crypto because it's not a real currency. But there are very strong believers in it, and people have made significant amounts of cash. But if it's not backed by government, I don't trust it. And we're now finding that there are vulnerabilities. Everyone thinks the blockchain is safe and secure and immutable, which it is. However, technology surrounding it isn't necessarily quite so robust. So if you are dealing with cryptocurrencies, the standard advice applies. Use well-known trading platforms. You know, nothing's backed by the FCA, obviously, but use the best quality that you can. You know, multi-factor authentication on your accounts. Bitcoin exchanges have to be really good ones, you know, ones that people have heard of, ones that have got a solid background. And obviously, you want to keep your machines clear of malware that you're doing any transaction on. Okay, so in short, be vigilant with that. So next up, Moxa alerts users to high-severity vulnerabilities in cellular and secure routers. This article is on thehackernews.com, and it's about Taiwan-based Moxa. They've warned of two security vulnerabilities impacting its cellular routers, secure routers, and network security appliances that could allow privilege escalation and command execution. The list of vulnerabilities is as follows. CVE 2024-9138, that's got a CVSS score of 8.6, in which a hard-coded credentials vulnerability that could allow an authenticated user to escalate privileges and gain root-level access to the system, leading to system compromise, unauthorized modifications, data exposure, or service disruption. Also, CVE 2024-9140, a vulnerability, it's got a CVSS score of 9.3, so very serious. A vulnerability allows attackers to exploit special characters to bypass input restrictions, potentially leading to unauthorized command execution. So, what do these affect? Where are we? EDR 810 series. EDR 810 series with firmware versions 5.12.37 and earlier. A EDR G902 series, firmware 5.7.25 and earlier. EDR G902 series with a firmware of 5.7. You know what? We're just going to give you the link. There's too many devices and too many firmware versions to actually tell you this. However, it looks like across the board, if you are running their hardware, upgrade to the firmware version 3.14 or later. And looks like that covers most of the platforms that they list. So there is every chance that some of you will be running this hardware. Might be rebranded, might be the default kit that comes with your ISP. I haven't come across this brand in the UK particularly, but it's worth bearing in mind that common chipsets are used across lots of different hardware vendors. So you might find that if you are running rebranded kit like this, that there will be a firmware update out there for you. Moving on. This article comes from darkreading.com. China's Salt Typhoon adds Charter, Windstream to telecom victim list. So, this past weekend, the Chinese state-backed hackers known as Salt Typhoon allegedly target their latest victims, Charter Communications, Consolidated Communications, and Windstream. This comes after the group targeted a variety of other communications companies and ISPs, including AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen, accessing text messages, voicemails, and phone calls. According to Ann Neuberger, White House Deputy National Security Advisor for Cyber and Emerging Technologies, 9 US telecoms have been targeted and breached by Chinese hackers so far. Whether or not these latest 3 are included as a part of that list remains unclear. Because of this tidal wave of Salt Typhoon telco breaches occurring in the US and around the world, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency is advising senior government officials to switch to end-to-end encrypted messaging apps such as Signal in order to prevent the risk of interception. Possible targets of these Chinese attackers need to immediately follow the steps outlined by the FBI and NSA to help harden their systems against attack, said Chris Hawke, consumer privacy champion at Pixel Privacy, in an emailed statement to Dark Reading. Patching and upgrading apps and devices, limiting the types of connections and privileged accounts, and only using strong encryption are just some of the steps organizations can take to harden their systems against attack. Anyway, that article goes on for a little bit further, talking about the US Department of Treasury, blah, 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 risk mitigation. So actually, the only other interesting point in there is just a one-line reminder that the US is actually sanctioning Chinese threat groups such as Integrity Technology Group, who we've talked about before on this daily cyber briefing. So at least they're making moves. Don't know what the UK government are doing. Moving on. New PhishWP plugin enables sophisticated payment page scams. This is from infosecurity-magazine.com. So this is about a WordPress plugin. So let's jump in. A newly identified WordPress plugin called PhishWP has been used by cyber criminals to create fake payment pages mimicking legitimate services like Stripe, enabling the theft of sensitive financial and personal data. The malicious plugin was observed by /Next researchers circulating on a Russian cybercrime forum. It allows attackers to generate convincing payment interfaces that capture credit card details, billing addresses, and even one-time passwords from victims. Once this information is entered, PhishWP transmits the stolen data directly to the attackers via Telegram, often in real time. Cybercriminals deploy PhishWP either by compromising existing WordPress sites or creating fraudulent ones. The plugin's design closely replicates trusted payment gateways, making it difficult for users to detect the deception. PhishWP offers a range of features that makes it a powerful tool for cybercriminals. It can create highly customizable checkout pages that mimic legitimate payment processors, collect one-time passwords, and to bypass security measures and send stolen data directly to the attackers on Telegram. In cases where users have enabled 3DS code requests, the plugin also includes a 3DS code pop-up to make sure that this information is also siphoned off to the threat actor. Data such as the user's IP address, browser information, etc. is also sent across along with the credit card information, explained Mahesh Dani, Manager of Security Research at Qualys. To make sure that the hackers have time to use the stolen information, the plugin also includes functionality that sends a confirmation email to victims with their order details. This functionality makes PhishWP a highly successful information stealer. Additionally, the malware profiles browser information, sends deceptive confirmation emails, supports multiple languages for global campaigns, and even includes obfuscation options to conceal its true purpose. Well, bloody hell. That's better than most WordPress plugins. Jesus. Okay, so how PhishWP operates. An example attack using PhishWP involves an attacker setting up a fake e-commerce site with heavily discounted products. Boom. First red flag. Victims enter their card details and one-time passwords on the counterfeit payment page, unaware that the data is instantly sent to the attacker's Telegram account. The stolen information is then used for unauthorized transactions or sold on dark web marketplaces. To protect against threats like PhishWP, experts recommend using advanced browser-based phishing protection tools. These solutions provide real-time threat detection, blocking malicious URLs across all major browsers and identifying phishing attempts before sensitive data can be compromised. All right. So, usual rules of online shopping apply here. If it's too cheap, if there's no actual contact information for the site you're going to, then there's a very high chance that it's just a scam website. But how can you be sure? You can't 100%, so you're better to go on the side of caution. But what you can do is, if you go to dracoeye.com, that's DRACOEYE.com, dracoeye.com, okay? Then you can put in the URL and hit go, and it will check against a whole bunch of IOC databases and come back with basically a traffic light status. Is this site safe to use? And it's not what we think. It's what people like Google think, Alien Vault, ThreatFox, VirusTotal. It's what they think. Okay, so it's actually powered by all of those sorts of companies. So pop the URL. If you're in any doubt about any URL, just pop it in there. Okay, do yourself a favor. It takes less than 5 seconds. In fact, I think search results come back within about half a second or something ridiculous. It's super fast. So go ahead and use it. Don't get scammed just because you think you saw a deal online. Okay, finally for today, once my browser catches up, there we go. Supply chain attack targets key Ethereum development tools. So a supply chain attack targeting key components of the Ethereum development ecosystem has affected the Nomic Foundation and Hard Hat platforms. The attackers infiltrated the ecosystem using malicious NPM packages, exfiltrating sensitive data such as private keys, mnemonics, and config files. This attack, discovered by Socket, involves the distribution of 20 malicious NPM packages created by 3 primary authors. One package, at Nomics Foundation /SDK test, was downloaded 1,092 times. The breach exposes development environments to backdoors, risks financial losses, and could lead to compromised production systems. The attackers employed Ethereum smart contracts to command and control C2 server addresses. This tactic leverages blockchain's decentralized and immutable properties, complicating efforts to disrupt the infrastructure. One such contract, in particular, dynamically provided C2 addresses to infected systems. The impersonation strategy used by the attackers mimics legitimate hard hat plugins embedding themselves into the supply chain. Examples include malicious packages named at Nomis Foundation /hardhat configure and at Monic Foundation /hardhat config, closely resembling genuine hardhat plugins. These deceptive packages target development processes like deployment, gas optimization, and smart contract testing. Key similarities between the malicious and legitimate plugins include the use of naming conventions closely resembling genuine hardhat plugins, the claim of providing useful extensions, and the targeting of similar development processes. Additionally, both types of plugins exploit developers' trust by being hosted on NPM. Malicious plugins, however, specifically take advantage of the hardhat runtime environment using functions like HREinit, HRE init, and HRE config to collect and exfiltrate sensitive data, including private keys and mnemonics. The attack flow begins with the installation of compromised packages. These packages exploit HRE using the mentioned functions to collect sensitive data. The data is then encrypted with a predefined AES key and transmitted to attacker-controlled endpoints. Okay, so developers are encouraged to adopt stricter auditing and monitoring practices to protect the environment. Implementing measures such as securing privileged access management, adopting a zero-trust architecture, and conducting regular security assessments can significantly reduce the risk of supply chain attacks. Additionally, maintaining a software bill of materials and hardening the build environment are recommended strategies to enhance security. By integrating these practices, developers can significantly reduce the risk of supply chain attacks and enhance the overall security of their software development process. Okay, and that is it for today. Thank you ever so much to those that listen. I'll be back online at 8:30 tomorrow morning with another round of the daily cyber briefing. Have a good day.